A Formula One crash at 200 miles per hour looks like the end of everything. Fireballs, carbon fiber exploding into dust, cars breaking apart as if they were made of paper. We've seen drivers walk away from impacts that seem physically impossible. Flames engulfing the cockpit, cars sliding upside down for hundreds of meters, barriers torn apart like they were cardboard. But for Formula One mechanics, those moments aren't the end of a story. They're the beginning of a very long night. When a car arrives back at the garage after a major crash, it rarely resembles a race car anymore. Bodywork is shredded, suspension is gone, electronics are scattered, and carbon fiber dust coats everything. To an outsider, it looks beyond repair. To the mechanics, it's a puzzle that must be solved under brutal time pressure. Modern Formula One cars are designed around one core principle: controlled destruction. Everything bolted to the central survival cell exists to break, detach, or disintegrate in a crash, absorbing energy so the driver doesn't have to. What remains intact is the monocoque, the fuel cell inside it, the roll structures, and the titanium halo protecting the driver's head. If those elements survive, there's a chance the car can race again. But chance doesn't mean simplicity. Every major crash triggers a strict process. The car is stripped piece by piece, with each component photographed and documented. Those images are immediately sent back to the factory, where engineers analyze what failed and why. Even parts that look visually perfect can be compromised internally, especially if they've experienced forces beyond safe limits. There's a critical decision point that determines everything. Is the survival cell usable? If it is, the team attempts a rebuild at the circuit. If it isn't, the spare chassis, carried to every race, is rolled out. And that's where the night becomes exponentially harder. A spare chassis arrives partially pre-built, but transferring systems like fuel lines, hydraulics, wiring looms, and sensors into a carbon shell designed with minimal access can take countless hours. All of this happens under curfews, staffing limits, and the knowledge that one mistake could end a race weekend, or worse. And looming over everything is a modern Formula One reality that didn't exist a decade ago. Because today, repairing a wrecked car isn't just about speed. It's about money. Because in the cost cap era, some crashes don't just end races, they threaten entire seasons. At the heart of every Formula One car sits the most important piece of safety engineering in motorsport, the survival cell, also known as the monocoque. It's the reason drivers can walk away from crashes that once would have been fatal. This structure weighs roughly 35 kilograms, yet it can withstand forces well beyond 50 grams. Its strength comes from a layered design. Thin carbon composite skins bonded to an aluminum honeycomb core, reinforced with Kevlar and Xylon panels around the cockpit. Pound for pound, it's far stronger than steel and dramatically lighter. Everything attached to it exists to sacrifice itself. Front nose cones are designed to collapse progressively, absorbing energy like an accordion. Suspension components snap cleanly away from the chassis. Wings shatter, floors delaminate. When carbon fiber turns into dust during a crash, that's not failure. It's physics doing exactly what it was designed to do. Inside that survival cell sits the fuel tank, sealed and protected. Above it, the halo, introduced in 2018, forms the last line of defense. Made from titanium, it can withstand forces equivalent to a double-decker bus resting on a single point. In real crashes, it has proven far stronger than anyone expected. Once a car returns from a heavy impact, mechanics don't trust appearances. Any component that experiences extreme forces must be inspected or discarded. Even microscopic cracks inside carbon fiber can turn catastrophic if reused. If the survival cell is compromised, it cannot be repaired. That chassis is done. If it survives, the rebuild begins. The process follows a strict order. Front suspension is installed first. The engine is then mounted directly to the chassis. The rear suspension and gearbox are assembled together and attached as a unit. The floor slides underneath. Bodywork comes last. More than 11,000 individual components must go back together in exactly the right sequence. One mistake, one cable routed incorrectly, can mean hours of rework. Under normal conditions, this takes 8 to 12 hours. Under pressure, teams have done it faster. But every rebuild pushes people, equipment, and limits to the edge. Because rebuilding the car is only half the challenge. The real pressure comes from the rules governing who's allowed to do it and when. Formula One rebuilds don't happen in a vacuum. They happen under some of the strictest operational limits in professional sport. At each race, teams are limited to around 60 operational staff, with only 15 to 20 mechanics working directly on the cars. On top of that, FIA curfew rules restrict when team personnel can be in the garage. There are multiple enforced shutdown periods every weekend, designed to prevent burnout. Teams get a limited number of curfew exemptions per season. Major crashes burn burn through those exemptions quickly. When a driver destroys a car late in the day, especially before qualifying, the pressure skyrockets. Mechanics know they're racing not just the clock, but the regulations. Push too far and penalties follow. Yet some rebuilds have become legendary. At the 2022 Austrian Grand Prix, Mercedes rebuilt a heavily damaged car, including engine, gearbox, and full suspension, in just 3.5 hours. That's close to the absolute limit of what's physically possible. Mechanics often describe these moments the same way drivers describe qualifying laps. Everything becomes focused. Every movement matters. Fatigue fades. The only goal is completion. And sometimes, the effort pays off spectacularly. Drivers have gone on to qualify strongly or score points in cars that were effectively written off hours earlier. To the driver, it can feel surreal, stepping into a machine rebuilt overnight by exhausted crew members who haven't slept. But the emotional pressure is only part of the story, because in modern Formula One, every rebuild has a price tag, and those numbers are staggering. Because once you see what a single crash actually costs, you'll understand why some teams quietly panic when carbon fiber starts flying. A complete Formula One car costs over $20 million to build. The power unit alone accounts for the vast majority of that figure. But even individual components are shockingly expensive. A front wing and nose assembly can cost over $140,000. A floor costs about the same. A steering wheel, covered in buttons, screens, and sensors, can exceed $50,000. Gearboxes, suspension assemblies, and engines multiply those figures rapidly. Before the budget cap, teams could absorb crashes by spending more. That era is over. Today, there is no general exemption for accident damage. Teams must budget for crashes before the season even begins. Every destroyed component eats into development money, upgrades, and long-term performance. Smaller teams suffer the most. Some seasons have been defined by crash damage alone. Multiple drivers have lost seats, partly because the financial toll of their accidents became unsustainable. Entire development programs have been delayed because repair costs spiraled out of control. One team absorbed nearly $14 million in crash damage in a single season, more than double anyone else on the grid. A single chaotic weekend wiped out millions in parts, including multiple wings, floors, gearboxes, engines, and even complete chassis. Requests for relief were denied. Even championship teams feel the pain. One high-profile crash at Silverstone cost a top team nearly $2 million, with leadership openly admitting that such accidents carry massive consequences in the budget cap era. Every crash now forces teams to ask a brutal question: can we afford this? And yet, despite the costs, the risks, and the pressure, mechanics keep pulling off the impossible, sometimes with only minutes to spare. Some crashes permanently change how the sport sees safety. One driver hit a barrier at extreme speed, splitting the car in half and triggering a massive fire. Flames surrounded the cockpit for nearly half a minute. The survival cell stayed intact. The halo deflected the barrier away from the driver's head. He walked away. Years earlier, he had publicly questioned whether the halo belonged in Formula One. After that crash, his opinion changed completely. Another incident showed the limits even more clearly. A car flipped at high speed, slid upside down across the track, and tore through barriers. The roll hoop failed almost instantly. The halo scraped deep grooves into the asphalt, while protecting the driver's helmet for hundreds of meters. There was nothing else between his head and the ground. He walked away too. These moments prove that the survival cell and halo aren't theoretical safety devices. They work, often beyond what they were ever designed to handle. And once the driver is safe, the mechanics step back in to pick up the pieces. Because as incredible as the safety technology is, the human effort behind rebuilding these cars might be just as extraordinary. Drivers get the headlines, engineers get the credit, but when a Formula One car is destroyed and somehow returns to the grid, the mechanics are the real heroes. They work through exhaustion, under curfew pressure, knowing that one mistake could cost a race or a championship. Every bolt tightened carries responsibility. Every system reconnected must work perfectly at 200 miles per hour. There are moments when a car is rebuilt just minutes before qualifying. The driver climbs in, unsure if the machine will even make it to the end of the lap. And sometimes, that rebuilt car delivers a result that feels almost impossible. It's $20 million worth of precision engineering reassembled overnight. And the cycle repeats every time someone finds a wall. Because the next time you see a destroyed Formula One car return to the track, remember, what you're watching isn't just speed, it's thousands of hours of skill, pressure, and trust rebuilt in a single night. Before you go, if you want to understand why Aston Martin's 2026 project could shock shock the entire grid, make sure you watch our previous video, Why Nobody is Ready for Aston Martin's 2026 car. In that breakdown, we explain how Aston Martin deliberately sacrificed performance, why Adrian Newey and Honda change everything, and how the 2026 regulation reset creates a rare opportunity for a complete power shift in Formula One. This video shows how teams rebuild and survive. That one explains why Aston Martin might be perfectly positioned to win.